Hello, people. We're so anxious to start here that we're starting early, a minute early. Uh, I feel great. Danny, how do you feel?
Doing better, pal. Thank you.
So, why don't you tell us a little something while people come in the room? Why don't you tell us a little bit something about your COVID and how it happened and what
Well,
exactly happened?
definitely it's no joke. I don't know who had it, who didn't have it, who had it bad, who had it, superficial, but it knocked me on my ass. So, whoever says it ain't a big deal, to me it was. So thank God that I'm better, and so be it.
And for people, if people asked you if you had the shot, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I got it. I got all three of them.
Oh, did you get the booster also?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you got the booster, okay.
So, and to each their own. I'm not going to begrudge anybody that doesn't want to get it. That's their opinion. I
Yeah.
got it. It is what it is.
Well, you got it because you have a business where you're in front of people every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have people say to you, "Did you get the shot?" when you come see that.
Well, in my industry, a lot of the times, the vendors and everybody, they won't allow you in the warehouse unless you've been inoculated. So what are you going to do?
And the reality is this, Danny. You were very sick. Those shots could have been what stopped you from getting sicker.
Absolutely. Whether people believe it or not, I don't know, but it very well may. But here I am. So.
And I have a piece of metal in my heart, my chest right now. I'm sorry,
Right.
my chest right now, and I cannot even feel it. It's weird that they could do the things they do now. And the only thing I would feel is every once in a while, like a little shock.
Well,
and
thank God everything worked out. Yeah.
At night, I felt a couple shocks, but on the 21st, I go back. They run it through a computer, and they see it has to be adjusted. It's amazing the way to do this. And people that are in here, I like to thank you all for your concerns and asking us how we're doing, but we're two mean old men. We're not going anywhere. I'll guarantee you, if some of these young guys got as sick as us, they probably would have just jumped out the window. But, we're just tough old goats. Neutral drop. I don't know if you're still here. He came in way early. Russell Shackelford. Tony, how you doing, Tony? James Weldon, welcome. Mike F. John O'Master, appreciate you being here. Lee, glad everything went good. Danny, glad you're feeling better. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Faye, thank you for being here. Steve Marinello. How do you say that last name?
What's up, Steve?
Okay. Let's see what. Oh, Neutral Drop came back in, which is good. I'm glad he's here. Michael Hensley, how you doing, my man? Don Vito, how you doing? Roman Britons, I hope you're drinking that wine. Tommy Stiggs, welcome back, Lee. Hope you're feeling well. The last few days,
Tommy.
Danny, hope you are feeling better. You know what? We're still slightly under the weather, but we feel really good. I feel real good. I feel like I got a burst of energy. Edward, appreciate you coming here, everyone. Thank you. John O'Master, Miss Can't Be Wrong. Thank you once again for coming and patrolling the room. RPMJ, good to see you here. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to talk about a very interesting character. And what we have to remember, Hollywood screws everything up. So if you watched with Denzel Washington playing Frank Lucas, it shows him being with Bumpy Wills. Bumpy Wills. Bumpy Wills is a baseball player. Okay, so he was with Bumpy when, in the movie when Bumpy died. In reality, they didn't like each other at that time. They were having issues. So the movie is basically BS. So what is your opinion of Bumpy before we get into him, Danny?
Say it again. I didn't hear you.
What's your opinion of Bumpy?
Well, Bumpy was definitely a gangster. Yeah, and contrary to what people believe, he was very intelligent. He could sit down to a chess game with the best of them, and he was very strategic. He was one of the guys that was very friendly, if you will, with Luciano. Whether they liked each other or not, they respected each other, and they coexisted and made tons of money off of dope.
Yes, and you know, Bumpy was just like John Gotti and Al Capone. While they were on top, their reigns were very short,
Sure.
and people don't realize that because
Right.
when you're the top dog, they want to bring you down. But just to give you a general, he was born Ellsworth Raymond, and he was born in Charleston, South Carolina. They called him Bumpy because he had a bump in the back of his head. And when he was 10 years old, when he was 10, his older brother was accused of killing a white man. And that was a big thing in their family.
Yeah, that's why they fled and came
And
north.
that's why they came toward New York. And I'm going to show you. So when he first got into the business, Danny, he spent time in prison in the very beginning, right?
Yeah, he did half his adult life in a state penitentiary. He was released, I believe, in his 30s, or probably 30 years old. And right away, he went to work with a woman called Stephanie St. Clair, or Madame St. Clair. And she taught him things. He became her bodyguard. And then ultimately, they were investigating her so much that he took over the reign. And like with anything else, it flourished. And he just, snowballed into a drug kingpin. And, he did book numbers. He was a pimp. He did a lot of crazy things. But in 1935, I believe it was, that he took reign from St. Clair. And up until 51, until he went to prison for conspiracy to sell heroin, he went there from 1951 to 1963, and that was in Alcatraz. And he got out in Alcatraz, and 5 years later, subsequently, he died in one of his top lieutenant's arms, this guy, Junie. And but he was this guy, believe it or not, was one of the biggest drug kingpins and one of the most, intelligent, if you will, as far as being able to mingle with organized crime.
And and the main reason he started working for Stephanie St. Clair, he became her bodyguard because Stephanie St. Clair went to war, which many people say was a mistake, with Dutch Shultz. And the reality is this: Dutch Shultz was kicking their butt. They lost 40 people. He was really taking them down. But what happened is Lucky Luciano wanted it to end. And Dutch was in other trouble with a trial. He was disrespecting the boss. So Lucky basically told him to stop, Danny, right?
Absolutely. And subsequently, Dutch was killed, and everything else is history,
And this is an amazing picture here. This is when Dutch Shultz was shot. He was shot in a bathroom coming out of it. The guy died slowly and had to watch. He looked at the bullet holes in him, and the doctors told him, "Your grave, you're gonna die very shortly." So he had to watch himself, Danny, bleed to death and die slowly.
He died. He died a miserable death, and rightfully so. You live by the sword, you die by the sword.
But the reality is, when you see in the movie that Bumpy was sticking up to Shultz, he was really getting beat down bad. And Bumpy was losing a lot of men. But at the same time, because of the way he was so greedy, he wanted to go into Harlem and take it over. He didn't want to share anything with anybody. And he kept breaking the truces that he was making with Bumpy. So Lucky took him out. And this is Bumpy right here back in those days. And I'll show you a couple of pictures of Bumpy right there. And this was his top lieutenant. And why don't you explain to us who his lieutenant was? That
was Jameson Junie Bird. He was, in his own right, a 100% gangster. He was another one that was very loyal to Bumpy, and he was Bumpy's right-hand man. And obviously, ultimately, Bumpy died in a diner right in his arms.
Yep, and this is Lucky Luciano, who, when he took over, basically what happened is he took over. Let me get rid of this. I'm sorry. 1 second. When Lucky Lucky was the boss, and when he killed Dutch Shultz, he didn't become friends with Bumpy. They coexisted, but one thing they did is they met at the YMCA once a week, and would play a game of chess. Because Bumpy was a great chess player because of all the time he spent in prison. And anybody knows when you're in prison a long time, you become. Were you a good chess player in prison, Danny?
I didn't play games.
Okay.
But there were some great chess players in there, and it's an intelligent game.
When I was inside, some of the best chess players I ever seen were guys on the street. They weren't too bright, but when they sat down and played a game of chess,
that's true. It's absolutely true.
Phenomenal. Okay, so let's get back to and Bumpy. And during his run, he was very good friends with Sugar Ray Leonard and Billie
Sugar
Holiday.
Ray Robinson.
I'm sorry, there I go again. Okay, Sugar Ray Robinson and Billie Holiday. He was pretty much considered like the kingpin, the Godfather of Harlem.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if it's to his credit, but just giving you an FYI, it's been reported that he had at least 40 murders and kidnappings combined. So, the guy was no joke. He also had a daughter that was nicknamed Little Off. What was her name? I forget. Well, she had a weird nickname, Annie Oakley.
Annie Oakley.
When she was walking down the street, she was accosted by two guys. They came up. They wanted to rob her.
And what year was this?
.357 in her purse. She shot and killed them both on the street.
Yeah.
And the ironic thing is, she kept walking like it was nothing. And it was an interesting story that I read about that because I never knew that. And she was also a legitimate heroin addict. She was a junkie.
And eventually, they say they're not sure what her death was, but they say it was caused from the drugs. She died of pneumonia.
Elsie, I think her name was.
Yeah, and she was she was very tough on the street.
Yeah, they said, yeah. And she also had another daughter. Her name was Margaret, and I think it was out of wedlock I think it was done with somebody else, and she was quite interesting as well.
And his wife went on to live her early 90s. This is her wife.
Yeah, that was before that picture there was before she died. She died at 94 years old in Philadelphia.
And that's the thing. He was a very interesting guy. His family was very interesting. But, the Hollywood thing with Frank Lucas. Now, Frank Lucas had very little to do with Bumpy. Like I said,
the movie lied. He had very little contact with Lucas, and if any. But, the sensationalism with the movie was over the top with them two.
And now here's another thing that you got to remember about Bumpy. You'll hear the myth that he was some kind of Robin Hood. He took from the poor and took from the rich and gave to the poor. But here's the reality, people. Back then, if you had a black business in Harlem, you had to pay him, and you also had to pay the mob. So it's not like the businesses in Brooklyn that had to pay one family. These black businesses had to pay. Say Luciano sent somebody over there, they had to pay them, and then Bumpy would come back and take his share. So it wasn't all this beautiful stuff going on in Harlem, was it, Danny?
Oh yeah, Harlem was the Mecca. I mean, between organized crime and the black drug dealers or bookies that they were, and even the Hispanic. It was a thriving industry in that era, and it went for many, many years.
And then he became friends with Malcolm X because he wanted. This is kind of like hypocritical, but he wanted to help rebuild Harlem. But it was his drugs going on the street that was kind of keeping Harlem down. And
no doubt.
And he was paying a certain percentage of the kickback money to the Mafia, to Luciano.
Absolutely. But even with that said, the money that guy was making was just incomprehensible at that time. It was just unheard of.
Exactly. And so in 1951, it's like you said, he went to jail for 15 years, and he
went to Alcatraz. Right.
Alcatraz.
And then he got out.
And there's
63.
And nobody can prove it, but there was one escape at Alcatraz, and they believe that he helped with
Yeah, that was reported. Yeah, that was reported. I don't know how true it is, but that's what was said.
that he helped get the boat or something, and that those men did escape. And the reason he didn't want to escape because he knew that he wasn't going to be there for a long period of time. These guys that tried to escape, they were basically at Alcatraz for the rest of their life. Where Bumpy knew that he only had a couple of years left, and that's why he didn't. And if you look at Bumpy too, there's so many series made about him. There's one series on right now with I don't know if it's still running, but with Forrest Whitaker, I believe it is. People, it is trash.
Yeah, see, this is what I don't understand. I don't know if it has. I don't know if it has to do with his story is just not excitable, that they have to, sensationalize it and make it bigger than what it is. But I thought that the picture was shit. And just reading about Bumpy, in this little amount of time that I did, I read probably about 100 pages on him, and he was an interesting guy. There's so many other factors to him, but other than being a drug dealer and whatnot. But I don't know why the movies do what they do, but it is what it is.
And when he got out of jail for the last few years of his life, he was using bodyguards to help protect Malcolm X, because at that time the Muslims were splitting up and going in different directions, and Malcolm X knew that his life was in grave danger. And what happened, though, they kind of parted ways, because Malcolm X, the last year of his life, didn't want to be associated with Bumpy because he thought it was bad for his image. And right. Bumpy would later say, I had him protected well, and he sent us away. And it probably cost Malcolm X his life, because 3 people sitting in the front row that were part of his sect killed him, shot him down. And it was a horrible death. So the man had a lot of things going on in his life. But it's like we'd say his reign was short, people. And a lot of this is myth. Was he bigger than Frank Lucas? Frank Lucas was definitely a bigger drug dealer, but he wasn't the gangster. Frank Lucas was not a gangster. He was a drug dealer. Bumpy was a gangster. Would you pretty much say that was pretty accurate?
Oh, yeah. He was in the streets at a very young age, and he just graduated, obviously, to where he was when he died. But he made a ton of money. He killed a lot of people. He beat up a lot of women. And, it is what it is. But he was a legitimate gangster. Whether people want to see it that way or not, he definitely was.
And he was very good with a switchblade. He had this one fight with a very tough guy, and this is how he made his reputation. He sliced the guy up with 30 slices across his face and his body and everything. And he was known, if you got into a fight with him, he was going to bring out his switchblade and take it to the ground and slice you up. And, sometimes a person, Danny, it's like this. Being shot is one thing, but being sliced up with a blade is another, right?
Absolutely. Either one is bad.
Exactly. Well, have you ever been stabbed, Danny?
No.
Okay.
I've been tried, but not successful.
You've only been shot, so okay. You can't
don't count.
Okay, so Bumpy died in 1968, 5 years after he was released from prison. And he had a very big funeral. A lot of celebrities came to the funeral and stuff, but the cops showed up, and they were and you know what the police did? They lined the roofs of all the buildings during his funeral, like he was going to jump out of his grave and start trouble. It made no sense. I don't know if they were expecting riots or whatever they were planning on doing. So, Danny, if you had to sum it up, if you had to sum his life up, how would you sum it up?
Well, obviously he made a big dent in American history as far as criminals and gangsters go. He was the forefront of it. Don't forget, this all started in the 30s when he legitimately started doing what he was doing. And at that time, it was like the Wild Wild West. Anything went. And he made a foothold in that history. And to his credit, or not his credit. People are still talking about him to this day. There's documentaries. There's some very interesting books about him. There's some great documentaries about him. So, whether you love him or hate him or think he's a jerk off, he's still a staple in American history today.
Would you put him with a lot of the, say, white mafioso gangsters? Would you put him at that level?
I wouldn't go that far. I would definitely say that it was definitely instrumental between one of the top mafia guys, perhaps in the United States and the world. They worked jointly together, whether, again, they liked each other or not. They coexisted and they fed off of each other and made a lot of money. So, again, the foresight was, forget about what kind of animosity we have about each other, whether we don't like black people or Italian people. They worked, and he was very ridiculed for doing that in his own community.
Oh,
but it was all about making money, and that they put their differences aside and they made a ton of money.
And a lot of people, black people, were calling him an Uncle Tom because he was known.
Yeah.
They wanted him to.
But again, it was a decision that a lot of people didn't understand. It wasn't about him selling out. It was about him making money.
And it was about, he didn't want to have a bunch of dead people in the street.
Right. Absolutely.
And people, you may not realize that, but what family did he basically deal with? Was it the Genovese?
But I'm sure that there was other families involved later on, but it was primarily through Lucky Luciano that this all, started.
Okay, let's see. Okay, and the people, if you have any questions, feel free. There's 75 comments here that I haven't read, so we'll start reading some of them right now. The heroin in the old days was safe compared to the street drugs now, cut with deadly fentanyl.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. I mean, you can't even take a pain pill no more. If you go out and buy a pain pill in the street, people, you are putting your life in jeopardy. The series about him called Godfather of Harlem, Don Vito, all these mob movies are ridiculous. All of them. I mean, when it comes, if you watch Goodfellas, it makes Henry Hill look like he was something special. Danny, why don't you describe Henry Hill, exactly what he was?
Well, I mean, I don't think I got to tell everybody what he was, but obviously, Henry Hill was nothing but a step and fetch it. He was nothing more, nothing less. So he was just a guy that was in the right place at the right time. Somebody liked him, but he was nothing but a glorified
rat.
He became a rat.
He became a rat.
Yeah, he was a rat. Absolutely.
So if he lived long enough, he would have had his own YouTube channel and been on here.
Absolutely. He
telling everybody how great he was.
Yeah.
Yes, he kicked a lot of money up to Luciano Don Vito. There's no doubt about that. Because here's what would have happened. He would have been killed if he didn't. It's that simple. Because back then, they still had more soldiers. They didn't have more people in the street, but they had organized soldiers that knew how to kill. And that was the difference between, say, the Genovese mob and, say, Bumpy's mob, a group. Hoodlum was a good movie. It was entertaining, but there was nothing, Miss can't be wrong, it was nothing accurate about it. But it was entertaining. When you watch these movies, remember that. That's all it is. It's just entertainment. Frank Matthews just disappeared off the face of the earth. He probably became a wino or something. Who the hell knows? Another guy that was made into a myth by Denzel Washington, right? Oh, goodness. Steve Sanderosa, $100. Lee and Danny, glad you're both well. Driving home.
You,
Steve, I'll tell you what, you start our month off beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See, Danny's at the point now. I got to kick up to Danny. He laid it out.
Well, that seems to be the rumor that I shake you down and
No, he doesn't shake me down. He just calls me up and says, "Look, I'm gonna get in a car. I'm gonna drive to Texas." Now people are gonna put that up. Hey, people, if If you see John Wolf in this room, block him. He is banned for this show for life, people. Do not let him in the room. To my wrenches, please. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Stephen, how you doing, Stephen? Appreciate it. Welcome back, lads. Health before wealth. Glad you guys are both.
Thanks a lot, Steve.
Okay.
I appreciate that, brother.
Yep. And we feel great. We feel great just to be back. You know, even though you got no loot, you're still my favorite boot. I don't got no loot. Hey, it could be worse. I could be living in a tent in the woods with a dog. Bumpy Johnson was Frank Lucas' mentor. No, he wasn't looking the truth. That's just in the movies. They had a falling out, and they were apart for quite a while. One of those myths created. You shot at the Pork Chop House in Newark, New Jersey. I don't know what you.
Yeah, that was Dutch Shultz. Yeah.
Oh, see that? You know your stuff, my man. Oh, SG. Oh, wow. Diaz, $50. Welcome back, guys. Glad to see you both doing well. Diaz, bless you.
I'll tell you another thing about Frank Matthews. He lived not directly across the street from Paul Castellano, but he lived on the same block as Paul Castellano. Just an FYI.
And that's Frank Lucas?
Frank Matthews.
I'm sorry, Frank Matthews. So Frank Matthews actually lived in the same area.
Conceivably one of the first black people to move to Toad Hill.
Really?
Just a little FYI.
What's up with you and the FYI? Who you been hanging out with?
I feel like an FYI guy today.
What are you, lazy? You just don't want to say the extra words?
That's right, FYI.
Okay. That's what he says. He goes to me, Lee, FYI. Make sure you give me my cut. Okay. You know, people, I'm going to tell you one thing about our partnership here. I could not ask for a better partner. I'm lucky because a couple months now and we've become friends. I consider him a good friend. And I can't ask for a better partner. That's basically it.
Back at you, brother.
You're perfect. It's like when the wheels came off, you didn't get running. I'm kidding, Kane Shade. Okay? Kane Shade did a video when I said to him, when the wheels came off, you got running. And he does a video on it. It was quite funny. Kane Shade's a good guy. I like Kane Shade. The only thing I know about Frank Matthews is that he kidnapped a Genovese associate in retaliation around 1973, which was 3 months before he jumped bail and was never seen again.
Yeah, it's a fact.
So what do you think happened to Frank Matthews?
That's the $1 million question. I know he had a lot of money, so whatever happened to him, a lot of people say he's dead. Well, obviously he's dead, but a lot of people say that he just went off in the blue yonder and that was it. Who knows? That's just like what's his name that robbed all that money and jumped out of a plane. Who the fuck knows what happened to him?
DB Cooper.
Yeah.
But the reality with DP Cooper, they found quite a bit of evidence that his jump didn't go too well.
Well, I'm sure, but that myth of is it possible?
It's the myth. It's always the myth.
Right.
It's like the myth of Bruce Lee. I mean, myths create legends.
Right.
Even when they're not legends. DB Cooper did almost an impossible jump from an airplane on a rainy night into a forest that was so dense. Eventually, they found the money all rotted away on the ground, but they still didn't find him. Well, the majority of the money. Crime doesn't pay unless you're You know what, Scott? I couldn't say it better, my man. Couldn't say it better. And you live by the sword, you die by the sword. There's no doubt about that. So when you're going to get into something in life, Danny, you know quite a few people in the streets, right? Can you tell when you met somebody they just weren't going to last that long?
When you're growing up or you're out in the streets and you make different contacts and you're hanging out with different types of guys, the guy that's the biggest mouth and seems to be the toughest is usually the one that's not going to last. Because, number one, if you're doing that kind of stuff, you're scared of something. So normally they don't last. They get killed 1, 2, 3.
Now, why do you think a guy like Casso, who had a big mouth and was always yapping?
Well, listen, when Castle was younger, there's no doubt he was tough. He could do whatever. However, he got bigger balls because he had a family behind him. I mean, it's a no-brainer. When you have 100 people behind, what are you going to fear? I mean, realistically, you're going to do whatever you want to do because you're not afraid of nothing. But if it comes down to being one-on-one, like he got his ass beat in the metro in Manhattan or Brooklyn, you know, then what? He ain't no tough guy no more.
Who was it to beat his ass down?
Casso, I'm talking about.
Now, who beat him up?
Oh, Sal Michiotti, another rat from the Colombo crime family.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
Okay.
So, you know, again,
K-Max,
he got beat up a number of times. But, you know, this one, they literally had to pull Sal off him because Sal was going to kill him. So listen, you know, I know all you guys out there, you know, talk about Casso and how tough he was and how crazy, but he was just a lunatic, you know, and he was just running on borrowed
I'm going to mute
time.
this for 1 second while you're talking. I'll be right back, Danny. Just take over. Thank you.
So it is what it is.
You're done. Okay. Oh, $7.99 from K-Mac. All these lives. I like all these lives. Thanks, Lee and Danny. K-Mac, we appreciate you saying that because, you know, stop it, Polly. Okay. I'm going to try to catch up here. Buster, I just jumped in. Great to see neither of you took a dirt nap. You know what, people? We've came close in life to taking dirt naps. So once you come close in life from taking dirt naps, you look at things different. You know, I was just talking to Danny about the time he was shot. And Danny, explain to people what happened after you were shot and you went home from the hospital.
Well, you know, when I got home, you know, I had some serious issues. I had a colostomy bag. I had a number of infections develop while I was home, and I had to be brought back to the hospital. And I wanted to die because every day it was something new, and I was so weak. I didn't know what to do anymore. You know, I just said, "Fuck this! I don't want to live no more." And you know, by the grace of God or whatever you believe in, I went back to the hospital. They hooked me up to 4 bags of IV because I became septic inside. And I said, "Well, I'm ready to die." And I woke up the next day, and I was 50% better. They got it under control, and I was able to leave the hospital again. And this time, I said to myself, "Well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I got to get my shit together because if I don't, you know, who's going to be there for my son?" And that's what I had to do.
And when you went back to the hospital and you had that very bad infection,
they had to open me back up.
Were you thinking that was it? Were you thinking that was it?
Yeah, I felt strong in my mind that this time I'm going in, I'm not coming out. Because you got to remember, I had a shit bag. I was fucked up, man. You know, I was embarrassed. I had to have a nurse come to my home, and I was embarrassed. You know what I mean? I was defeated.
Joey Electric said, I think Frank Matthews worked for Bumpy, but I could be wrong.
No, I don't believe he did.
Yeah, but he had something to do with him briefly until they had a falling out. And of course, they're not going to put that in the movie. But, you know, they're going to have him drop dead while walking down the street with Frank Matthews. Okay. Would love to go back in time just for one day to be at one of their parties for a night. Bet you would meet some characters. You're not joking. You know what
comes to mind when she just said that? And I don't mean to call her a she. I didn't catch her name. But
Faye.
If you ever get a chance, watch the movie Once Upon a Time in America. Great movie. Absolutely great movie. And I would tell anybody, if you haven't seen that movie, go get it. It's a great movie. And I would say out of all the movies, that may have been the best depiction of the mob. I loved it. I thought it was spot on. I thought it was absolutely great. One of my best movies, in my opinion. And once again, Robert De Niro was in that too. But De Niro. Fuck him, but I just love the movie. Yeah, De Niro, James Woods. James Woods was phenomenal in it. It was just one of those movies. It's a long movie, but it's great. It's an absolute masterpiece.
I've watched it like 5 times. To me, it's my favorite
Yeah.
gangster movie ever.
Yeah.
So, people, if you have not seen that movie, Once Upon a Time in America, you could. I think you could find it on Netflix or Amazon, one of the two.
Yeah, you can get it.
Sit down, get a bag of popcorn, watch that damn movie, and that's the closest depiction of that type of life to me, I think, because it shows the brutality of it, how these guys died, and everything. Frank Matthews was his own boss. But, yes, RPMJ, without a doubt he was. But we all got to start working for somebody else first. Everybody. John Gotti had to start working for somebody first, and so did Frank Matthews. You don't just come onto the scene. There's somebody you're kicking up to in the beginning. Okay, let's... Godfather of Harlem makes it sound like an Italian mafia was run by Bumpy. They do.
Yeah, the movie was ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely.
Or the movie New Jack City, where they go by and they shoot up the whole entire... The mobsters are sitting outside. First of all, you've never heard of that happening. And would you... So if some guys came down from Harlem and went by a social club and killed 10 guys outside the social club, what would the response be, Danny?
Oh, I mean, you got to be an idiot not to realize what it would be. But, who knows? It's that kind of stuff is only in the movies. You know what I mean? It doesn't really happen that way.
Mad Dog. He said Frank Matthews, was not a gangster. Danny said he was a gangster. I agree with Danny. Well, that's the great thing. Danny's a lot smarter than me when it comes to this gangster shit, people. I'm not sensitive. You can correct me. Bumpy tried to fight with Dutch Shultz and lost. Stephanie St. Clair had to go into hiding and start snitching on Schultz's men. Yes. Frank Matthews himself, we found you.
There he is. He's not dead.
But you're right. You described it, Frank Matthews, you described it exactly right. See, people make, in the movies, it looks like it was even. It wasn't even. Because back then, organization beat disorganization. It's like, going to war with a country that has more men than you, but they're disorganized. RPGM, that what I enjoyed the picnic at Golden Gate Park, some kids when playing really music, really nice. I've never been there. Have you ever been there, Golden Gate Park?
No, I've never been to California.
I drove through California. I got trouble in California. I got arrested and spent time in the San Diego County Jail. I had two bounty hunters come to Colorado from California chasing me.
You had Dog the Bounty Hunter looking for you.
Oh, these guys were better. But and it's in the newspaper. They were chasing me down the street, and the cops pulled them over and told them to go back to the police station and wait for them. But it was kind of funny. Those guys if you owe them money and you dip, they come looking for you.
They want their shit.
Yeah, they did. And it was only $70,000. I can't understand why they came after me. It was 7 on 70. I don't recommend a trolley car ride. You'll end up seasick. Okay. Schultz, yes, he nearly wiped out the crew. But you know what? Schultz was out of control. He was telling Luciano to go fuck himself. You can't do that, because first of all, he's not a made man. He's Jewish. And he's given the made men a hard time telling them all to go to hell. That's not a good recipe, is it, Danny?
It's a recipe for disaster with anything.
Yeah. And on top of that, he had to watch himself slowly bleed to death. Frank Lucas was the one in the American Gangster it was about, right? I believe so, not Frank Matthews. I'm the real king, okay? But you know what, Frank Matthews? You know your stuff. So it tells me that you've really studied Frank Matthews and about that war. The movies will make it look like it was nip and tuck, but it wasn't. One woman went into hiding, and now the guy took it. RPM, let's see. Owen Maddie. Owen Maddie is a fantastic character, people. If you've never seen the movie, another movie, did you ever see Ragtime? Danny.
No, I never seen it.
James Cagney's last movie. But anyway, Ragtime. No, I'm sorry, Richard Gere. That wasn't right. Okay, Richard Gere was in Ragtime, but that was about Owen Maddie. And you know who was in that? The guy that played Herman Munster, Fred Gwynn.
Wow.
He was the guy that was the character that was. Remember what Mad Dog Cole kidnapped one of Madden's men, but
yeah,
Fred Gwynn played that part. Really great movie. Frank Matthews did. I get it wrong. I get mixed up with all these bad guys. How about the Italian bad guys? They're either named Tony or, there's names all over the place. American Gangster about Frank Lucas. He stole yes, Frank. Exactly, my man. That's what happens. You got to understand, Danny, this is a perfect example. These guys all became snitches in prison. And there's no doubt about that. And people don't understand these guys that are snitches, they have a lower quality of thinking. Would you say that? And they all come out and make themselves look greater than what they were. Danny?
Absolutely.
No,
we live in the rat era now. This is the rat era. I mean,
and they're everywhere, people. They are everywhere. Whether you're John A. Light, I was watching another one of his shows the other day just to get nauseous. The things he says, it's unbelievable. No heroin is safe. You know something? I remember back in the 70s, I was working down in Times Square. And back then, heroin, you remember how bad heroin was in the 70s and 80s, Danny?
Yeah, we used to see them on milk crates nodding out.
Wasn't it amazing, Danny, that when you're on heroin, how low you can go to the ground without hitting it?
Listen, in Coney Island, they used to fill up. They used to turn on the fire hydrants, and all the junkies would fill up their soda bottles. Remember the old glass soda bottles they used to have?
Yeah.
And that was their for their works to suck up water or whatever to melt the heroin and draw it into their arm. It was amazing. You'd all see junkies going to the Johnny Pumps, and then they all had milk crates. Milk crates was a heroin's dream.
Danny, drugs are real bad in America right now. There's no doubt about that. Do you think it's worse now or was in the early 80s?
I think it's worse now because of the synthetic drugs they have today. Back in the day, you had cocaine, you had heroin. That was it. And, the heroin wasn't like the heroin today. You don't know what the fuck you're getting today. And I'm not saying that the heroin back then was any better, but you knew where you were with it. You know what I'm saying? Today, you don't know what the fuck is in there, So.
And without a doubt, Frank Lucas died broke, stealing his son's SSI checks. Frank Matthews was a true OG. You know what? You hit it right on the button. And Frank Matthews may have had a gangster's death. His final thing, he may have been next to Wild Bill. Who knows? He was in those Italian neighborhoods, so he easily could have been. Henry Hill outlived all the guys that were above him. Yeah, he outlived them because he wasn't one of them. He didn't even, what was his name? The guy that Paul Sorvino played in the movie Goodfella.
Paulie Vario?
Yeah, they say Paulie Vario would never deal with a scumbag like Henry Hill.
Listen, Henry Hill was a douchebag. He was a complete fucking scumbag. There was no legitimacy to that film as far as Henry Hill goes, was so outdated and outwhacked. The guy was nothing even like that. He was a fucking guy that would pick up dog shit if it was in front of the stoop just to say hello to them guys. And that's what they used him for. You know what I'm saying? They used him for fucking dumb shit, errands, this and that. And you saw what Henry Hill ended up with. That's how Henry Hill was. He was a fucking douchebag.
And guys, just so you know, I forgot that I had that money app running below here. I totally forgot. But we changed it. It used to be Lee Cole.
Please hit the like button. And if you have any money on you, throw a few dollars into the kitty. We'd appreciate it. And all the people that say don't promote money, fuck them. throw your money in the kitty and let's do this right.
Boy, I'll tell you
I'm
what.
not on YouTube for free.
But I'll tell you what, Danny. You and FBS together, you become millionaires in this.
But, listen, when you come on YouTube, I'm not trying to be funny or you come on YouTube, you want to make a few dollars, right? If somebody appreciates what you do, what's wrong with them throwing you a few dollars?
Nobody's forcing
Nothing.
them, people.
So if anybody doesn't like somebody getting money, too fucking bad. That's all.
And it's like, I'll give an example, like putting this show together. Took a day. Literally a day. Danny sending me stuff from his stuff, me reading up because I didn't want to come on here sounding like a fool, but I probably still did a little bit. But it's the truth. I like what this one says. Henry was not a good-looking guy. Ray Liotta made Henry look so good.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he was not a good-looking guy. He was a drunk and beat the shit out of his wife. And it looks horrible. His tools are like razors. The amount of blood was shed. Frank Matthews was bigger than both of them combined. Yes. Wrongly, Hoodlum was the most accurate of Bumpy's movies. Looking for the truth, it's opinions. Anytime I watch a movie, it's like that piece of garbage that they had on most recently on Netflix. What was the name of that garbage? The old Robert De Niro. It was about the guy that claimed to kill, what's his name? Well, it was a horrible movie. And people said, oh, what a great gangster movie. It wasn't a great, it was horrible, people. Like Robert De Niro being 75 years old, running around like he's 30. It was ridiculous.
And his platform shoes.
Yeah, and his platforms, 5'2" and his 6-inch platform shoes.
Another killer, another tough guy.
Jesse Roth, $9.99. It's not much.
Thank you, Jesse.
Jesse Roth, anything is kind of you. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's appreciated very much.
Politicians are the real gangsters. They just make things law so they can get away with it. Exactly.
No doubt. No doubt.
It's like last night that old fool was on TV talking about changing laws. I'm not going to mention the word, but changing laws. Basically, he wants it to be where people, the government can decide whether someone's mentally ill and go take what they have. Let's just leave it at that. Anybody can be considered mentally ill, people. I mean, anybody on YouTube is kind of mentally ill. Not you, Danny.
I'm sick. Don't worry about me. I'm mentally ill.
Some of the cash hid nowhere. The cash is never spent. Okay, if you want to be protected from powder, you got to treat it like you're Don. You don't want all profits to flow up and all the risks flow down. Use your captains, your capos to pick up. Yeah, that's why they got capos, right, Danny? That's the whole purpose of the structure of the mob, to protect the top guys.
Well, that's the whole premise. You know what I mean? You're
and
insulated.
It worked until a law called RICO came out.
Well, it worked until the government was able to turn these rats, and there goes your organized crime as you know it. There's no more decency or honesty, and whether you like to believe it or not. And I know everybody's going to say there's no whatever among thieves. The problem is that if you go out there and commit a crime, you and I go out there and commit a crime, and they walk into the interrogation thing and say, listen, Bobby, if you tell us this, that, and the third, we're going to set you out of here. Bobby jumps on it. Bobby should get his neck broke, and he should sip through a straw for the rest of his life.
And let me ask you another thing, Danny. When these guys rat, how many guys are saying, well, you know what? I got to give them some good shit that ain't true to get out of here.
Say that again.
How many guys do you think say, I got to give them some good shit that's not true to get out of here?
Listen, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna keep repeating it. Anybody rats is a coward. Anybody that goes to the government and provides them with information that will alleviate them from going to do their time is a cunt. Period. I don't care who you are. You don't like me? I don't give a fuck. You can dox me. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Anybody that sits down with the government, and wants their sentence reduced for what they have to say is a cunt. Period.
And the key sentence in that is do their time.
That's right.
They're not willing to do their time for their crimes.
No. Right.
They're
You
cowards.
did it. Now what you're going to do is you're going to present facts to whatever happened and whatever you did with the other guy, and you're going to sink the ship as long as you come out smelling like a rose. That's why they should sip through a straw for the rest of their fucking life.
Then you got Michael Francis, you got
all
Sammy,
of them.
yeah,
All
Sammy
of them.
Gavano.
Anyone that sits down with the government, anybody that sits down, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care if you were the toughest guy in the world. If you sit down with the government, you're a coward and a punk. And if anybody doesn't understand that logic, then you got delusions of grandeur, because that's a fact. You can't go out there and say, oh, well, you know, John Gotti told this, or Simon and Garfunkel did this. Yous are all cowards, period. You just don't want to accept that fact. And then you want to get Jesus Christ in your life, and then you want to get the Heidi Klishner up your fucking ass. Yous are all garbage. Yous all should sip through a fucking straw. But unfortunately, the way society works today, they condone what you do. They coddle you. They fuck you in the ass a little bit. They finger you, and they love you. That's why they have these platforms that you can come on and say what you want.
And then what they do is they prey on the suckers, like on YouTube, that are willing to believe anything without researching it.
And then they want to get mad because you have something to say about what they did. And the first thing they say is, you don't know what I did. You don't know me. So how can you voice your opinion? You're on a public platform, cocksucker. How about that?
Okay, Danny's back. He's feeling better, people. Hey, Kirk Davis, what do you think of that? I heard that George Baroni killed Frank Matthews, but he never admitted to it when he flipped.
Nobody knows who did it. I mean, we could say fucking John Paul II did it, but nobody knows. Who the fuck knows? The guy disappeared. Who knows?
And he had a lot of money. He could have disappeared.
He had a ton of money, sure.
Yeah, he could have disappeared anywhere in the
went?
world. He could have disappeared anywhere in the world. Okay. Slug, what's up, Danny and Lee? Good to see you guys. Thank you, Slug. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Slug. Appreciate it.
Castro tried killing him with a rolled up newspaper. Not sure how that was going to work.
No, Sal tried. Sal beat him up with a rolled up. That's the first, and knocked him down and was on top of him. Now, don't forget, Sal weighed fucking almost 300 pounds, but still, Castro's a punk. That's why he died of COVID.
Miss Can't Be Wrong, thank you for all you do. We appreciate it. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Great to see you both back. Ali Gator, we appreciate you. Thank you. I'm going to try to catch up here a little bit, people. Danny, you mentioned your son. Often do you mind me asking, is the mom still in the picture?
No, she's not.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, Lee, you keep mixing Frank Lucas up with. Yes, I do, and I apologize. But I'm a dumbass. I admit it, okay? No one's perfect. Frank Matthews had his own plug-in. You know what? Venezuela would actually be a great place for him to go to, because back then, Venezuela was a great place to live. It only happened 15, 20 years ago when Venezuela started going downhill. Don Vito, Once Upon a Time in America is a great movie, but it's on for hours. That's what I love about it, though. You know?
Yeah, it's a little long, but I mean, I think overall, if you just accept the fact that it is a long movie, I mean, it's a great show. It really is. I mean, the plot and everything is great. I loved it.
Frank Matthews in Vietnam. I like this one. Lee is right. Great. You know, you could say that about me all you want, Miss Can't Be Wrong. I'm not going to stop you. You could say it over and over. Okay. I'm going to go past a few of you guys. Nothing personal. I'm going to try to read the ones that I like. Nevada and Arizona better. California is nice to visit, but it's not nice to visit no more if you got to drive around. Hey, people, I went outside last night around 2:00 in the morning. I went over to the gas station because I ran out of Gatorade. and I'm a Gatorade freak. So I went to get Gatorade, and gas jumped here from 390, I would think it was 389 to 449 overnight. It literally jumped up 60 cents, 50 cents overnight. So that's what we're facing, Danny. We were talking about it, and you got to go back to work next week. And how many vehicles do you own?
5.
And they got to all be filled up to go do their work, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What am I going to do? So my profits go to fucking gas because cocksucker Biden and his minions do nothing about it. So,
yeah, they're doing
so
it
if
on
a guy
purpose.
goes out and steals gas, he's wrong. He's wrong, right? It's a joke. But his fucking son can, forget about it. Go on to the next one before we get excited.
Yeah, his son. What a joke. Okay. For some reason, let me. My arrow's not working. It's not pulling anything up. I'm going to have to read these things. Sorry, people. That's.
Oh, we lost Lee. Where'd you go, Lee? Anyway, the gas prices are ridiculous. I don't know where you guys live. I'm in Florida. It's already $4.75 a gallon. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So I don't know. To me, I don't understand why it has to be that much money. But maybe I'm a dummy. But we have our own reserves, our own. We can pretty much solidify the gas industry here in the United States and keep the price low. But for whatever reason, they don't want to do that. So everybody that drives suffers, and if you're on fixed income, or if you only make a certain amount of money every week, what do? You got to drive to work. It's absolutely insane. So I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, if you can't hear me, I don't know. I think there's some technical difficulties going on with Lee. But anyway, we'll wait for Lee to get back on, and we'll go from there. I don't know if you guys can hear me. So hell of a way to start a new live when shit's happening like this. Anyway, so, but hopefully these prices come down, because at this rate, $4.75 a gallon, who the fuck can afford it? What, you got to put $20 in your gas tank for 4 gallons? I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But anyway, it is what it is. So everybody's got to stare at my face now. I don't know if you can even hear me, so I don't know.
Hey, am I the only one here? Sorry, guys. I guess something happened to Danny, but that was weird. I got kicked out. Danny, you're gonna have to go in and come back. Okay, let me. Oh, there he is. That was some weird shit.
That was weird.
Wow, that was StreamYard.
I don't know what happened, because
that was a StreamYard
too.
thing, people. I think it was the Russians. Okay, well, we're back, people. So, we didn't want to only do an hour show today. We like to go an hour and a half. Okay, let's see. Let's talk to you guys. Is John Wolf here? If he's here, please block him. I'm asking my people that are in here to get rid of John Wolf. He's not allowed in this show at all. Let me tell you why, people. Because the other day I let him back in, and then he did a show the other day with a bunch of bullshit in it. Nobody watches his show, but he's a punk. That's all he is, people. He's a guy with no loyalty. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Just so you know, I mentioned to people about the sales of houses and stuff, and you can't buy houses in Amarillo. So he goes and he pulls up this ridiculous chart. But what he doesn't realize is the real estate companies leave those out there on purpose so you contact them. But if you look up any of the statistics going on, not something from the internet, it would tell you the houses here in Amarillo are almost impossible to get. So he tries to make people look stupid. And the only one stupid, then he says something even stupider. He said that I would buy a cheap house in Amarillo because I can't buy one in New Orleans. Are you kidding me? The only safe street in New Orleans is Bourbon Street, Bourbon, whatever they call it. The cops told my sister when she was there a couple months ago, don't leave this street because you might get killed in the rest and in the other parts of New Orleans. So please don't compare New Orleans to Amarillo. Okay, John Wolf. And that's it, Wolf. You make any shows you want. I want nothing to do with you. You're a creep. Okay. Someone just gave me $10. I missed it, and I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Here we go. Lee, why misrepresent what Biden said? He's trying to prevent psychos from buying guns. Wayne, really? He didn't say anything. He was reading something. He doesn't. Do you understand what you think? He think is no good. He can't think. Danny's got a bad cough, I guess, so he'll be back, people. But I'm not going to get into politics today. If you want to defend Biden, and if you want to defend $5 gas, if you want to defend people going out of business because of gas prices and stuff and pipelines being shut down, if you're that ignorant, go ahead and defend them. I can't stop you. It's just hard to believe that Americans are so blind. He dimed out half of Harlem, and good. You missed my political speech, Danny, so I'll just leave it at that. Who stole Lee's signal? I'll never live that down. You know, Danny, do you ever hear about the time I came on and I accused MRE of stealing my signal? Can you hear me, Danny?
I could barely hear you. That's all
Yeah.
right.
Boy, this is a weird day. I'll put some of these up and I'll read them. Danny, do you know Bruno Indicado of the Bonanno family? And even if you don't, can you tell me something about him?
He spent half his life in prison. Total tough guy. And he just got out recently. And it's curious to see what he's going to do as far as the Bonanno crime family goes. If anything, you know, I know he's 73 or 74 years old. I don't know what his standing is going to be, you know, in the current state of the Bonanno crime family, but who knows? It is what it is. He's got, I don't know how many murders, so he was definitely a legit tough guy for sure.
Wayne H., you're an idiot. Liberals want to I don't want to get into gun talk on here, people. YouTube don't like gun talk on here. They'll come after me for that. Danny, if you're having trouble hearing me, go out and come in again.
I can't hear you at all.
Okay, go out and come in. I'm telling you, this is a weird day, people. Something's going on with StreamYard. Getting kicked out, booted out. I don't know what it is. Something's going on with StreamYard. Danny, tell us something about Michael Franzese. Do you think he ever killed a man? Danny does not like Michael Franzese. He'll be back, but I'm going to tell you what. His uncle was very close to Michael Franzese. He did not like Michael Franzese. He's a man of myth. Well, let's see if you can hear me any better. Can you hear me, Danny?
In and out.
Why don't you read that remark right there?
What do you want to know about Michael Franzese? He never
wants to know-
killed anybody. Michael Franzese, you know, listen, I'm not going to go back and forth because you got a lot of fanboys on these programs that suck him off. So Michael Franzese is nothing but a fucking rat and a lowlife. And I don't care what anybody says on this forum or any other fucking forum. The guy's a phony. And that's it. I don't give a, I hope he makes $1 zillion, a gazillion. I don't give a fuck about him. He's a piece of shit.
Mad Dog, how can you invest in electric cars when there's no place to plug them?
Who can afford them?
Yeah, who can afford them and where are you going to plug them? See, people don't get this. They got these electric cars and the outlets you put in your home. Do you know how much money you got to spend for those outlets?
You know what a fucking electric truck goes for?
People just don't get it. They don't get it.
Yeah.
They're not ready for the electric market.
Might as well get Fred Flintstone cars.
Yeah, Fred Flintstone, exactly. Mad Dog, I'm not going to even, what you're reading, I'm not going to make this political. It's obvious that you like that old, Depends wearing demented freak in the White House. If that's your cup of tea, you enjoy him. Oh, Lita Beggar Cole, you're the older version of FBS. You are a closet liberal. Danny, I'm a liberal.
Well, you know what? This guy's a clown. You know what you could do, Tony Montana, with a fucking name like that?
Yeah.
Why don't you?
Well, you know why you have that name, Tony Montana?
Whatever grievances you have, let's work them out.
Yeah.
Well, you want to call people beggars? What are you doing on the program then?
Then what are you doing?
Why don't you go walk your fucking dog?
And what are you doing with a picture of Tony Montana? You're not Tony Montana. You're probably 5'1", and you're probably a pussy.
Another fucking clown.
Okay.
These fucking guys can't fucking.
Well, you know, you go to the street, Danny. I hope you feel better. Lee Cole, prayers for your surgery. I please appreciate that.
Thanks a lot, Mike. I'm feeling a lot better, brother. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
I like this one. Lee's internet signal goes through his basement.
I think that's the problem we're having.
Hey, listen, I appreciate good ones, people. Let's get the politics out of here. We're not going to argue about it.
We're going to have to buy a shield for Lee.
Electric trucks don't have the range required.
Forget the range. Who the fuck can afford them? Who wants a $700 a month fucking nut?
And Wayne H says, why would you call me an idiot? Because I don't agree with the point of a view about keeping guns out of the hands of the mentally ill. No, Wayne, here's what I'm trying to say. The government wants to determine who's mentally ill. Do you understand that? The government wants to determine. That means the police department can decide to say you're mentally ill, come to your house without no evidence of you being mentally ill, and take your you know what. That's what the problem is, Wayne. Do you understand that? Wayne, thank you for the $10, though. I respect you because you know why? You come in here, you put up your beliefs, and you give me $10. Okay. Danny's having trouble with his hearing me again, aren't you, Danny?
I don't know what I'm having problems with. Come on, go.
Okay, listen, guys, you gotta send us money so Danny can go buy a new mic.
I need an electric car.
An electric car.
Send
Can
your
you
money.
guys donate for Danny wants 4 electric trucks. So can you please donate so he can get his electric trucks? That cost, how much is an electric truck? Like $200,000?
What? How much?
Yeah, how much do you think an electric truck is?
Oh, I don't know. They were 80, 90 grand.
And how much is a regular truck?
Say it again.
How much is a regular truck?
Oh, mine were like 30.
Does that explain it, people? So they want you to pay.
It's a big difference.
They want you to pay $60,000.
I ain't gonna buy no electric truck anyway.
Scott H, I am offended. Joey Electric, don't be offended. You're doing good, Joey. You're not blocking nobody, so he's not offending you too much. That's a good thing. Electric cars sound good. However, the materials we need for the batteries, we have to buy from China. We're screwed all that way. And you want to hear something else? When those cars are no longer no good, what are you going to do with those batteries? Where are you going to put them? What dumps? See, people don't think. They don't think, people. Americans are dumb in general. The truth. Lee Wayne is mentally ill. So I don't think he understands. Okay. No, Wayne he's not mentally ill. He just has a couple posters of Barry Sanders on his bedroom wall. You know, he probably believes that the things Barry Sanders says is true. So let's give him that respect. Oh, before anybody is allowed to purchase a gun, a psychological evaluation. Are you crazy? Do you know how stupid that sounds, Mad Dog? So you're trying to say that people have to go to the psychiatrist to get a gun? Are you kidding me? You need to go to a psychiatrist, dude. God. So we're going to have some weird creep guy. We're going to have some weird psychiatrist that's a leftist psychiatrist determine if we're able to get a gun. Do you realize what you're saying? You are falling into what they want you to fall into. America gets dumber every day, people. Electric cars are good if you live in a good state where there is a lot of charging ports. That's it. Yeah. What happens if you got to drive through, say, Texas, and you got to drive through the desert, and it takes 4 to 5 hours to drive through? What happens if your car runs out of electricity in the middle of the desert? So how much money is the taxpayers going to have to pay to put these ports up, to plug these cars in? It's all a scam, people. It's all a scam. Rizzy Painting, $50. Oh, Christ, now I'll get doxxed. Laugh out loud. Great show. Ritzy, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Rizzy Painting. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
And Ritzy Painting's probably one of these guys, if that's your business, that understands what we're talking about with the price of gas and what electric vehicles cost. So, but unfortunately, people that don't have businesses try to make, it's easy. It's easy. Let's get electric cars. I like to shove those electric cars up people's asses. Joe Biden's ass. Exactly. In Canada, they're taking them away, and the people there are so weak, they're letting it happen. The Second Amendment gives you a right to own a gun. It's not a privilege. That's right. In Canada, it's a privilege. That's what that idiotic leader up there said. It's a privilege to own a gun. See, when these people are in the streets and they can't defend themselves, and the government's putting them in internment camps and pulling them out of their houses and stuff, and they can't protect themselves, then they'll understand what this is really all about, people. I understand. So with mentally ill people, you sure say weapons, or Republicans are saying, hey, you know what? A lot of those freaks that play those video games all day are mentally ill, but they still have the right to have what they have. How come no one's talking about Chicago with all the illegal guns there and all the people that die every weekend in Chicago or Detroit or LA or New York City or any part of New York City? How come you don't hear them talking about the legal guns that are killing people? Why are they talking about the legal guns that kill very few people? Very few people are killed with legal guns. Does tragedies happen? Without a doubt. What happened in Uvalde was a horrible thing, people. But more people die every day from illegal guns in this country. They don't want to talk about that. They have no desire to talk about it. Don Vito, you need a lot of lithium to produce batteries of these electric cars. Guess the country mines have high amounts of lithium. Afghanistan, now in the hands of Chinese business. Don, thank you. Danny, we have a lot of smart people in here.
What?
We have a lot of smart people in here, but we got a couple of idiots.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no.
But we got a couple that don't understand how the world works.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Chicago is a war zone. Yes, it's a war zone. And they're killing each other with illegal guns. And that's what will happen. People will go out and get them. That's it. I don't want the government to determine whether I'm mentally ill, whether you're mentally ill. The government and the police department will determine who's mentally ill. Think about that. And here's another thing they said. They want to end the 72-hour wait for guns. Do you know why they want to do that? Because that means the FBI can hold it up. The FBI could take 8 months. They could take a year before they even get to your case. That's why they want to end the 72 hours. That's it. It's all a ploy, people. It's all a ploy. It's our military, our leaders trying to take everything away from us and take over this country where we can't fight back. Ours is, I know it wasn't. I was to protect him well-related mission. Well, oh yeah, talking about that, John Wolf, you got something in your past you don't talk about, John Wolf. I know a lot about you, John Wolf. You can hang out with MRE and get along real well, John Wolf. And you know what I'm talking about. But, you know, you like to go around and criticize people, and you're playing the biggest game on these channels here. Because they want them all, Lee. I've been preaching this for years. Stalin took them communists. Yes, that's what happened. But you know what? When Stalin wanted the people to fight back, he gave them all back. When the Germans, they gave them all back. Matt, there were 2 mass shootings in suburbia this week alone. Yeah, Mad Dog. There were about 100 shootings in the major cities this weekend. Do you understand that? 100. You don't think those people in Chicago going around shooting each other are mentally ill? They're mentally ill, but no one's going to let them keep their illegal guns. Only criminals should be armed, not people. I live in one of the best areas in the country. I live in Northwest Texas. Great area. People respect her. If you're going to have some 18-year-old kid that goes out and does that, it's a horrible thing. But anybody can snap at any time. But how about all these guys that are snapping in the cities every day? Every day. And you don't hear nothing about that on the media, people. They don't want you to know nothing. Chicago, New York, LA have tons of shootings, including kids, every day, Scott. Every day. But these leftist wackos don't want to talk about it. The left is not liberal no more. They're wackos. That's what they are. They're like the far right, wackos. Okay, let's see. Mad Dog says, reality, not all citizens carry guns because they're afraid of people. Some of them carry them because they're afraid of their own shadows. Hey, the biggest bitches on earth are the liberals. They are the biggest scaredy cat bitches on earth. Come on. Are you serious about that? It's not the gun. I can't believe we got into this conversation, but people want to talk about it.
Doing good, Sonny. Thank you.
Okay. No one's taking mine unless they pry it from in the famous words of Charlton Heston. The hospital in Daytona, I do work and had a shooting. An inmate was bought with withdrawals, got a gun from a security and shot himself. Crazy, yeah. It happens. Wayne, why is this only an American phenomenon? Why live by Constitution? Wayne, you're wrong. This happens you don't hear about it. It happens in China. They don't tell you. It happens in Afghanistan all the time. It happens in a lot of countries. You don't hear about it. Why don't you talk about what happened in Australia when people couldn't defend themselves and they were putting innocent people in internment camps because they had COVID? Why don't you talk about that? Why don't you talk about
Thanks
what's
for the
going on in
$10,
this?
Wayne.
Huh? And Wayne, you can say whatever you want. Most people here, see, if you are on a lot of channels, you are stations, you want to be able to have views. Here you can have views from both sides. Do I agree with your views? No. No. He's worse than a bum, people. He's worse than a
What's
bum.
up, Ryan? You're a good dude. That's a good dude right there.
Yeah.
Ryan, you're a good buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Ryan, he's worse than that. He's a guy that has a very torrid past, and he did a lot of bad things in the past, you know, and he hung out with some really bad people in the past. He doesn't like to talk about that. And John Wolf, if you want to sue me or threaten me, you go right ahead. But you're a creep, dude, and you put this on yourself. What you are, John Wolf, is you're a troll. You're nothing but a troll. That's what you are. That's why you get 30 or 40 views. So you got to use my name to try to get a few more views. Go ahead, but you're not welcome in this show. I bent over backwards trying to be good with you, John, but you're just a creep. No one's taking my, yep. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to catch up here. Guys, I didn't mean to go in this direction, but people jumped in here and went in this direction. You know, I didn't expect it. And we have, you know, America's not divided, people. Go out and see the movie 2,000 Mules. It tells you all about what happened. And I can't say that word. You had somebody just arrested in Arizona for throwing her area of an election that happened years ago, let's say. You got all sorts of evil stuff going on in this country right now. Evil stuff. Jeff Canarsie just posted something in his community tab saying Bumpy was a major guy and calling out Lee without naming him. That's what he does, people. Let him do whatever he wants. God bless him. Only wish him the best. That's the difference between, I don't know if he did it.
Well, consider the source where it's coming from. Mob Talk Radio. I mean, you listen, everybody knows who that is, so you take it for what it's worth.
If he wants to get into something like that, it's not going to be pretty, people. It's not going to be pretty. But
anytime he wants to come on here and debate, he's more than welcome.
You're welcome, Jeff. And only wish you the best,
because
Jeff.
he seems to know more than everybody else. So if
and
he
people,
doesn't have a problem coming on,
and people, do you hear me? Do you hear me talking negatively about him? Have you heard me in months talking negatively about him? Nope. But we can.
Einstein, fucking jerk job.
We can. We could dedicate a whole week and bring out a lot of things that people don't bring out, if that's the direction people want to go. Because now I'm starting to get a little fucking pissed off.
He's the guy that said Chris DeMeo wasn't dead. So you take it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
And he's still.
I gotta go. I gotta eat something. I'm hungry.
Okay.
All right.
You take care, my man. Okay. Wayne, first down payment for Danny's electric car. Good one, Wayne. Whoever named this marble was wrong. This is hate tube. It's not an accident that most here support the last. Oh, God forbid if we support the last president. We don't have one right now. We have an old man that's being put in front of a palladium every night. Doesn't know what he's saying until he reads it. You know? So what are you going to report a mob tube? Because people, see, you're not going to want to believe this, but most people in this country supported him. Most people supported him. It's the media that didn't support him. MTR did not post anything. Stop listening. Thank you, Smiths. I appreciate that. That's what I said, if it was reported, if it was put up. But I appreciate you putting that up. And Jeff Canarsie, I apologize if you, and once again, that could be something that I'm guilty of every once in a while. But we have been having a couple issues lately, so I wasn't sure. So that's someone that knows about our issues. Trolls, people. Probably John Wolfe. Yes, that's where we met, Albert Jermail. This is MoleTube. Okay, if that's what you want to call it. As long as you're here, I got a view from you, dude. Mad Dog, so long, leave. I had enough of you here, but you enjoy. You see, that's what the liberals do, people. When you debate them and they don't like what you say, you know what they do? They run. I'm not running from him, but that's it. They want you to think like them. And if you don't think like them, they run from you. That's how they are. And if that's what you're going to do, Mad Dog, oh, well, I'm not going to change who I am. Are you kidding me, man? You can't. Nobody wants to be a president nowadays. Nobody. Look what they did to a man that was actually there doing something. Lee, block whoever said that about MTR. Yeah, please block that. Whoever said that about MTR, please. Yeah, well, listen. By the time people figure it out, it's going to be too late. Bye, Mad Dog. You don't show up at FBS either, scumbag. Well, you know what? Me and FBS, we get along now, but our beliefs are different, but it's in a respectful way. You can be respectful and disagree with people. That's what it's based on. You don't run because you disagree with somebody. Chris and I have totally different beliefs. But so what? We still talk. We don't judge each other by our beliefs. And he's not what you call way under. He says a lot of things that I agree with. And he says things I don't agree with. If anybody says something, if totally agrees with me, there's something wrong with them. Yes, they did, Roblox. I'll take the old man over the idiot who told the country to inject. He never said to inject beach. That's false. That's false information. That's information that you got from the media. That's not what he said. See, this is what I'm talking about, Wayne. I'm guessing that the only thing you watch is either MSNBC or CNN. I'm sorry to hear that. Hey, people, watch Tim Pool. Tim Pool's the best news show. And it's a podcast here, Tim Pool, by far the best. Tim, and he used to be a leftist. He used to be part of Wall Street, or Occupy Wall Street and stuff. But Tim Pool is he has really good guys on. He's one of those liberals that woke up. All of a sudden, he came back to life. I enjoyed this show again. I haven't asked how your procedure went. I hope that you're well. Yes, it went. You know something? That's the great thing about the greatest medical system in the world, the United States. The greatest medical. Let me say that again. The greatest medical system in the world, the United States. Not Canada, not England with all that free shit. Block Frankie T. He's blocked. Lee, do you like? I'm an avid Yankee fan. I'm a Ranger fan. I'm having fun because tonight I get to watch the Ranger game. You know how long it's been since I got to sit down and enjoy some hockey, people? Because the Rangers don't win very often. So the Yankees are doing great. They're doing great. I predicted that the Boston Celtics will blow out Golden State. And everybody was saying, no, Golden State's going to win. Golden State has no size. How are they going to win when their team is that small going up against a big team? I don't see it happening. Gas, $6 a gallon in New Jersey. Yep. Mad Dog. Now listen, Mad Dog ran. Hey, check it out. He called himself a mad dog and he ran, people. So maybe he should change his name to the Toothless Dog, the Paulus Dog. But he's definitely not a mad dog. Mad dogs stay and stick up for themselves. They don't run. He's a poodle. He's a pink poodle. Mike, I don't trust either party. I don't trust either. I vote for the individual. I've only voted for one Democrat in my life, and that was Ed Koch in New York City. But that was a long time ago. I was very young and stupid. Okay. Mob talk, yes, I am. And listen, I apologize if anybody came in here, they were talking shit about you, trying to get some friction going between us. And listen, we might have our differences, but it's never been like that. Lee, look into the Young Thug case. Trust me, it'll blow your mind. And the Smiths, Dana, thank you for coming in and clearing that up. It's very much appreciated, and that's what people should do. If you see that people come in here and they're putting in false informations about another channel, and it's like Dana said, she went and checked, and she came back and said, "Hey, Lee, a couple people did." That's what we need, because that's what they want us to do. They want us to fight with one another. And sometimes, unfortunately, I'm guilty. And FBS will tell you the same thing. We read our chat rooms, and we should start looking into things better. So I'm guilty of that at times. Mad Puppy is a troublemaker. Also, he was starting an FBS last night chat and got blocked. Yeah, he's just one of those Bernie Sanders guys. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders became the mayor of Burlington. It was a joke. The people used to laugh at him in Burlington. At that time, I was living in Burlington, Vermont when he became the mayor. It was like a big joke. He laughed down the street. People would laugh at him. He was a joke. And now people take him serious. His wife, Bernie Sanders' wife, took over a college, and the college went out of business. They took all the money and funneled, and Bernie Sanders, who talks about being honest and stuff, this college was shut down because of all the money that the Sanders family was robbing. Do you know the Sanders have a house on an island in Lake Champlain right outside of Burlington? They have a couple houses. Bernie Sanders is the biggest scam going, period. He's not who he presents to be. Mad Dog. One more thing, Lee. Unless you pull up your shirt and show the fresh incision of your pacemaker, I don't believe you. But listen, I don't care if you believe me. What do you want? I'm going to pull up my shirt and show you my pacemaker. Do you know how sad and pathetic that sounds? You know what, people? We'll do that next show. We'll have a show called Lee's Pacemaker. How about that? That'll be a good show, because there's always going to be some of you Downton Thomas losers here. It's always going to be here. And see, Mad Dog pulls that out because Mad Dog got called out for being a puppy and not being a tough guy. My uncle is running for mayor of Reno, Nevada, Republican, of course. Well, that's good to know. I ran here for the city council, and I got sick at that time. This is about a year and a half ago. I came in 4th place. I needed to come in 3rd out of 6 people, but I didn't really get a chance to go out and campaign or nothing like that. It's a small town. But if you're local, don't complain unless you're going to try to do something. That's what it comes down to. Americans get ripped off by private healthcare system compared to other private health systems in the world. You pay more for the same medical care. Yeah, but our medical care here is better, Don, and you make some good points there. Yes. Do you remember when I showed my heart monitor and then it got all over the place that it was, what was it? It was a nicotine patch. It was a nicotine patch. You put that $500 in here right now, I'll do it. But you're a Bernie Sanders guy. You won't. Lee, don't show your incision because, no, I wouldn't. I'll do a show on it, but I wouldn't do it for him. It wouldn't matter what it was. He's a dirtbag leftist that ran and said he was going to leave the show when we were debating. Yes, exactly. We pay more for medical care. I have a friend, and they don't have nearly the tech we do, and neither does Canada, people. Canada, if you want to replace your knee or your hip, a lot of times, if you're a certain age, they won't do it. And I'm talking about not an age like 80 and 90, like 60. I'll give you an example. Brock Lesnar the wrestler got diverticulitis and almost died when he was in Canada. So he came across the border and went into Detroit and got treated. You know? Vinny, you got out of work. Glad I can see you. Okay. Just got out of work. Just to see you live. You look good, Lee. I'm glad your surgery went well. Yes, it did. And thank you very much. No, it's they're the same companies that you have in America. America healthcare system is officially ranked below all European healthcares. Don Vito, you and I have a disagreement there, but I respect your opinion. In reality, Lee respects me because he knows I'm too smart to fall for his BS. No, I don't respect you, dude, because you're a leftist whack job. You are the type of person that's destroying this country. You're one of these people that probably reads these leftist books, especially Saul Alinsky. I bet you have a Saul Alinsky book. And remember what Saul Alinsky said: destroy the government from within. So I bet you have one of those books. Do you? Dude, yes, you are. You come on here every show and argue with everything I have to say that's not leftist. Everything I have to say. All the time. So what would you call it? You made a statement saying that everybody that goes for a gun should get psychological evaluations. Do you know how stupid that sounds? So we're going to have some leftist psychiatrists or some leftist therapists determine whether whether we're mentally fit to have guns. That's a way they want to do it, to take them away from you. Would you guys want some leftist psychiatrists determining whether you're mentally ill? No, you're not independent. I'm independent. I don't believe in Republicans or Democrats. I'm more of an independent than you. I believe that both parties are corrupt to the bone. Okay, Tony Montana. Lee, people like me defended you on MobTube against baseball. Nobody can say that. See, Tony, I have never said anything racist on YouTube, ever. That was just something thrown out there by somebody. We know who, but it was someone thrown out there by somebody. We have a racist in a tent that is praised by some channels. So you make peace with the very idiots who accused you of that. You have no honor, no decency. Tony Montana, your name is Tony Montana. You got a cocaine dealer, or you got a picture of Montana with a ton of coke in front of him, and you're talking to me about no honor or no decency. You got to do better than that, Tony. America has one of the more false information. Don Vito, let's talk about how many babies get killed in this country every year. That's, a lot of things are put into those mortality rates. I'm going to send Leah Cash App money for the first time ever. Can you imagine FBS sitting here and answering questions like this? Put up the link, Lee. All you got to do is if you're going to do that, just go, okay, I'm sorry. 1 second. Just go on my information of the video. You'll see the Cash App there. If that's what you're going to do, I appreciate it. But listen, he earns his show too. He earns it too. Believe me, with all the crap he puts up with. Yeah, but I do like. Don't you understand? I like this when people attack. It's better for debate. It makes your mind sharper. I don't expect everybody to agree with me. Oh, this attacking a homeless guy in a tent is about it. How about the fact that 2 days ago, he did a video, and in his title, it said, let's talk about Lee Cole giving hand jobs out at Yankee stadiums in the 1970s. How about when he does something saying that I suck off Danny? Do you notice that, Mad Dog? You don't notice that, though. So you coming in here defending Tony shows me who you are. Because anybody that defends Tony has to have something really mentally wrong with them. Miss Can't Be Wrong. Thank you, Landon, Lee, and Danny podcast. People, yes, they do, And then here's the line they'll use. But the party's changed. No, it was Republicans that were part of Lincoln's party. And Lincoln was not a Democrat. He was a Republican. Okay, he was not a Democrat. But they hate to hear that. George Wallace was a Democrat. Robert Byrd was in the Ku Klux Klan. Robert Byrd. And he was Hillary Clinton's mentor. But you don't hear nothing about that. Does anybody remember Robert Byrd? He was a grand wizard in the KKK. And then he said his life changed. DeSantis. I'll be honest with you, Sonny. And let me tell you why. I love Donald Trump, but I don't want another old president. We have an old president. When you get to 78, 79 years old, anything can happen to you at any time. I would like to see DeSantis run on the ticket with Trump. If something happened to Trump, I like to see DeSantis there to protect him. I don't want to see that clown, that last vice president clown we had. People are driven by money. They'll befriend the devil if they could earn it all. It depends. Some people won't. But Bob, who knows? Lee, be honest. If you saw a mass shooter, you had a gun would you? Dude, I would give my life for a child. I can honestly say that. Just like that man did in Uvalde. The police told him not to go in. He ignored them. What's the sense in having police officers in schools if they're not going to protect the children? That's what they're there for. They're not there for anything else. They're there to protect the children. And what did that cop do there? He tucked his tail and ran like a coward. I hope he could live with himself. And that guy that went in and killed him, It wasn't even his gun. He borrowed the gun. And after that guy did that, you know what he said? He says the reason this is happening is because our teachers aren't armed. Yes, Woodrow Wilson, he was the worst of the worst. And he also helped get the United Nations, UN, all that stuff. All that, he was behind all that. Worst president probably ever. Lee, you are 61 or 16. So someone called you a name. Big deal. Grow thicker skin. You put yourself on a platform here. Par for course. Dude, I'm here on this platform taking questions and letting you speak. I'm not blocking you. I'm debating you. You don't see me running, do you? And that's still not good for you. You know why? Because you're a lefty. Leftists are never happy. They're never happy. They want to control everything. And people, I hope everybody could say that. If you see, would you sacrifice yourself for little babies, 5, 6 years old? Any human being with a half a ball sack would. And for that, and you got to remember that police chief there got his job back after he told the police officers to stand down, to wait for armored tactics. Can you imagine that? To wait for armored vehicles to show up? So you had policemen in there that just sat there and listened to the shots. You're standing up for somebody like Tony Pizza. You need to really look in the mirror and evaluate your train of thought. He has said some awful things about Lee lately. Yes, he says awful things about me. He says awful things about my brother. And then someone's going to come in here and say, why are you attacking a homeless guy in a tent? That man deserves to be in that tent. He deserves worse than to be in that tent. That man's a coward. That man threatens to beat everybody up and he will beat nobody up. He's the biggest coward there is. And there are people so stupid that give him money. Those are the people that really need mental evaluation. People that give that clown money. So tonight he'll have my name in another title. But you know what? Here's what it comes down to. When he dies in that tent and they find him laying there, do you think anybody's going to care? Do you think one person's going to care? He'll go in a pauper's grave. That's where he'll end up, in a pauper's grave. Right in New York, they got a bunch of them. That's where he'll be. And that poor dog that doesn't bark, that has its head turned and looks scared all the time. Anybody that sticks up for that piece of garbage, anybody. Pizza deserves all the bad things in life. He is a total Yeah, he has no loyalty to nobody. I tried to be his friend. I couldn't do it. He kept turning on me. What kind of man mocks a man that, my brother, and mocks him getting raped by other men? Or the things he calls Josie with the N-word, the horrible things he says. And he continuously uses the word and he does not stop. How could anybody defend that? There's certain people in his chat rooms, like creepy Joe Biden, that guy. He's in his chat room kissing his ass all the time. Like he's a hero. I'm feeling very well, thank you. And just so you do know, Danny was here. He got a bad cough. He was hungry. And he decided to leave. He was having trouble with his mic too. So I'm just staying a little bit longer today than usual. I appreciate that. He was a very good man. Much better man than me. Frank Devin, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Frank Drevin. I bet he beats that dog when the kid. Oh, can you imagine what he does to that dog? That dog is so scared. You could see the fear in an animal. That poor thing. When a dog's that quiet and the dog won't even turn his head toward him. It's horrible. Horrible human being. I tried to get Pizza a job a while ago. He said he doesn't do construction. He doesn't do anything. That man has never worked. Do you understand that? He's never had a job. At least I had a job. I gave hand jobs out at Yankee Stadium, according to him. So I had a job. Okay. Yes, horrible. And as you guys know, I'm a dog owner. I love dogs. And when you have a puppy, you got to feed your puppy all the vitamins and stuff of puppy food. You don't give it people food. That will kill your dog. That will give it gastritis and will wind up getting a bad case of gastritis and dying. Or who gives their dog a steak with a bone in it? That bone can get lodged in their belly. This happened to my lab. Cost me $1,500 to get that thing removed from its stomach. So you don't ever feed a dog a bone. Well, you know, the people are being respectful. I got more energy than ever. You know, my energy level in 2 days. I mean, after the procedure, one day after I feel totally better. 2 days. I'm sorry, it was Wednesday, but I feel better. And I could feel the difference. It's like when people get heart surgery and they open up a valve. I'm lucky because when they checked me out, I was afraid they were going to find a valve that was clogged. Now, I'm a big guy. Me getting open heart surgery is going to be very, very risky. Probably not good for me. But getting a pacemaker is a simple thing. It's not like it used to be. You know, it took them a little bit over an hour. Lee, go ahead and block me. I'm not going to block you. Why would I block you? My dog Polly is overweight. Come here, Papa. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here, baby. Come on. This is Polly. People, this is Polly. Does Polly look like she's overweight? Look at her. That's Polly. Polly does have no fat on her. What are you talking about? See, I love when this is my baby girl. She's 9 years old. 9 years old. Give me a kiss. Come here, Marley. Come here. Come here. And this is Marley. Come over here. And I got Marley right here, too. My dogs ain't overweight. I take good care of my dogs. You just got proven wrong, dumbass. That was easy. I like being with Gunsmoke. I'll be honest with you. He's a pleasant guy. He's got a good heart. And yeah, he has a good heart. His heart is too good, but he has a good heart. Sometimes you got to know when to be a little bit mean. That's vile. I can't believe he came out with that anger would overtake me. Yes, he's just an angry, mean, bitter man. All he does is talk about Danny. Do you think that Tony would say anything to Danny's face? Do you think Tony would even think in his mind about meeting up with Danny? Could you guys imagine what would happen there? I think that, dude, I was 10. My first game at Yankee Stadium was actually in 1974. No, that was Shea Stadium. Yankee Stadium was closed for 2 years. I never been to the old Yankee Stadium. I went to the one that opened up in 76. For 2 years, the Yankees played at Shea Stadium. And my first game ever, my first Yankee game was when the Yankees spent 2 years at Shea Stadium. That was my first game. So But Robo, whatever floats your boat. Great, you showed your dogs. Now show all the fresh incisions on your pacemaker. I believe nothing I hear. I told you, put $500 up. I'll show it. You called me out. Now I'm calling you out. But I'm not going to give you the opportunity to back out. But guys like you don't have $500, Mad Dog. You just don't. Haley, first time in your chat, new sub. Just want you to know that I said prayers for surgery and Danny's illness, and we both are doing good. And I appreciate that. In the beginning of the week, it was very scary, people. Very, very scary. It's funny because the conservatives in the UK are more left-leaning than the Democrats. You're not joking. You're not. Hey, listen, they just passed a law here. I forgot what it was. And the Republicans, a majority of Republicans voted for with Democrats on it. And it was a horrible law. That's how it's become. You can't trust them. They're both the same party. Mitch McConnell is no better than Nancy Pelosi. He's an evil little man. Lefty looks like Lefty does not look good. I only wish him the best. Lefty has his demons. We all got our demons, people. I'm not going to knock the man. Just wish him the best. Welcome to the madhouse. Hey, mob organized crime. I appreciate you being straight and honest tonight. It feels really good to be back here doing a show. And Angry Pup. At mob. Thank you. Well, people, listen. I've been on here 2 hours. I had a really good time today, especially with you left wackos. You're welcome on this show anytime, lefties. No, Polly is well taken care of. And when somebody tells me my dogs are fat, I'm fat. My dogs ain't fat. I take good care of my dogs. I make sure I always feed my dog the proper food. Dogs are only live as good as you treat them. Same with cats. But a cat can survive off just about anything. A dog can't. A cat can go out and eat a bird and live. Dogs, they're not like that. I'm a conservative. What are you talking about? Well, mob talk, mob organized crime. God bless you. Because I'm definitely not a Republican, but, I'm not a really good conservative because I do things that I shouldn't be doing if I was a really good one. Absolutely love my dogs. He's a very good guy. Mob Organized Crime Podcast, your words betray you. I didn't know what he said, Scott. If Tony ever confronted Danny, it would be the ugliest thing you would ever see. A matter of fact, Tony can have a baseball bat in one hand and the blade in another hand. It would still be ugly. It would be horrible for that lowlife. And I used to not hate Tony. I used to feel sorry for him. But the more I seen of him, especially the stuff that he did with Josie. And listen, I've had my issues with Josie. There's no doubt. But some of the things he used to say to her, he still says to this day with the N-word. He hasn't changed. He's just an evil, evil man. He doesn't get it. People, do you realize that he brags about making $500 a day and he still lives homeless? What does that tell you? What does that tell you about him? It's obvious he's doing something. That's what it's obvious. If you're making, say you're on YouTube and you're making $1,000 a week, why can't you go stay in a cheap motel that's better than living out in the woods in a tent? Why can't you go there? Now, we can let Mad Dog stay. Mad Dog doesn't know any better, Scott. Don't block him. Mad Dog is like every channel needs a clown. Mad Dog's our clown show. That's all he is. He's all talk, no action. That's it. He's the perfect leftist. All talk, no action. Bob Miller is going bye-bye. Well, if you guys think Bob Miller needs to go bye-bye, you do what you got to do. Yes, Vinny the Weasel. Oh, my God. My first game that I ever seen was in 1976. And I remember that game because Thurman Munson hit a home run. I got 2 foul balls that year. I got one from Cliff Johnson, who was a catcher / first baseman. And I got one from Willie Randolph. 2 baseballs. Now, that's why I always remember that year. And Cliff Johnson's was a home run. It hit my hand. I'll never forget catching a ball in midair. And that I was out by the foul pole in right field when he hit that. No, left field. I'm sorry, in left field. But I had many. I've been to the old Yankee Stadium probably 300 times, easy. Because that's what I did. I lived in Yonkers at that time. I would take the train to New York, or I would walk to the subway station, and I would take the train right into Yankee Stadium. It's very easy to do. Back then, it was the D train going into Yankee Stadium. The trains have changed since, and I don't even know what it is anymore. My dog would eat whole rabbits. Yeah, you know what, though? That's the thing. Do you know that dogs should eat raw meat before they eat cooked meat? Because raw meat has vitamins in it, where cooked meat doesn't have the vitamins and nutrition that meat does. Lee, congrats on your miracle recovery. I prayed for most pacemakers. No, it doesn't. It takes about 24 to 48 hours. And then you have pains like I have in my arm right now. So what are you trying to say? Is this basically, what's his name, with a new ID? Because I've never seen Greg T in here before. Oh, you doubters. I don't know what to tell you. Mob organized podcast. We'll have saved them. Stacks is a millionaire now, he says. Him and Lefty should get together. Well, listen, I'll be honest with you. If Stacks has money, if he's making money, God bless him. Whatever his hustle is his hustle. He has that right. You know how I feel about Stacks, but I'm never going to knock a man for making money. Lee, does your dog have a puppy play tent? I seen that. Yeah, the poor dog has a puppy play tent, but he's afraid to stay in the tent with his master. Exactly, Miss Can't Be Wrong. The only thing that should hurt you is your arm, because they can go in from the left side or the right side. They went up from my collarbone right here down to here. That's it. And then they put right down your arteries going into your heart. They don't even stitch you no more. They glue you. Can you imagine that? They glue you. And it's only about 1.5 inch incision. It's not a major operation. But you got to be careful with, most of all, infections. That's the number one thing that kills anybody after surgery is infections. Remember 2 months ago, Pizza Man Supercharged went into his car and made $2,000 in a day and paid. 2 months later, he sold the car for $500. Nothing ever makes sense with that guy. Yes, I am, without a doubt. My shoulder's killing me. My arm's killing me. And, I was joking the other day. I said, I'll take a pain. I have been totally off pain medication now for 3 months now. Totally. That feels good too. But I'm going to tell you what, when you hurt a certain way, especially my arm right now, you want to be able to take a pain pill. But the ending of taking a pain pill is not good because I have a very addictive personality. My drug is probably food. That's just my drug. I love food. Always love food. I tell you, it'd be fine. It's such a minor procedure these days, and they're smaller than ever. The pacemakers are smaller than ever. People. They used to put these big. They used to put these big pacemakers in you. Like now they're like so tiny. It's amazing, and they're and you. They used to make them where you couldn't get an MRI with them. Like if you got, say you got rushed to the hospital, you had a pacemaker. They couldn't give you the MRI. They would have to remove the pacemaker from you. Now, and this was important to me because I had vertebrae surgery 3 years ago, and I have a plate in my neck. So something can happen there. I would have to go get an MRI. But now they're designed where you can actually put them in with an MRI. It's amazing, the advancements in medical stuff. Yeah, the dog has a cleaner tent than he does. I love comfort food. You know, the two foods I love the most is corned beef hash, and people say yuck and hate it. But I also love fried liver with fried onions and bacon, something you should never have, but I love it. I have rods, screws, and a cage, and a donor bone in my spine. Yep. You know, I got my vertebrae done. And when I got my vertebrae done, I wasn't walking. And they told me after I got my vertebrae done, if I didn't start walking, they're going to have to do lower surgery on my spine. But after I got up one day and slowly I started walking, and ever since the surgery, it's been 2 years now, I've been walking fine. So, miracle of God, people. It's a miracle. Medical miracles are amazing. I've always been lucky with medical miracles. Oh, yeah, Mitch can't be wrong. I won't go any place for breakfast if they don't have it. Lee, did you time me out for saying Pole Smoke the Gump? That's my opinion. He's the Gump. Robert Smith, I did not do that. If somebody else did that, you got to understand. I'm going to be honest with you. There's two people in here that are very close with Gunsmoke. So they're going to time you out if you attack them. And I can't tell them not to do it. They're just defending their friend. I had to learn to rewalk my issues from my, yes, exactly. People don't, I'm glad that you did learn to rewalk though. Tony, if you see me put this short video, Banjo showing me love at the top of your page. Oh, Mad Dog is a big fan of Tony's. That tells me everything I need to know about you, Mad Dog. But you could still stay here, Mad Dog. I'm still waiting for my $500. Oh, does it surprise you? Hilia, I used to go at you, but now I'm one of your biggest fans. You are true to yourself. I appreciate that, just saying. And when it comes to you know what, politics, I am true to myself. But I don't care for Republicans or Democrats. I'm not either one. That I'll tell you. I'll vote for a Republican unless they're a rhino. And the rhinos are just as bad as the Democrats. So I would never vote for a rhino. Yes, that's Jesse Roth. That's what I had. That's my scar down here. They went into the front. Same thing. It changed my life. It saved me. You know, my surgeon was a great surgeon. He did a great job. Look, Mob Talk just killed you on Facebook and deleted it. So I don't buy you. I don't even know who you are, Okie KPU. Michael Hensley, he was timed out, bro, and you love to claim that he was just timed out. It's not like he was thrown out. My friend had a pacemaker, put it in 1 to 2 hour procedure and up to 48-hour cover. Vinny, I don't even have to answer these people. I'm the one here that has massive pain in my arm right now, not them. Mustache Pete, how you doing? I appreciate you coming by. You missed all the lefties in here. Well, no, a couple of them. They can't help it. They're just not screwed up right. I had hip replacement 10 years ago, changed my life. Yeah, Scott, that's the thing with pain pills. They're so easy to get addicted to. They're very easy to get addicted to. But when you're fully off of them, you feel 10 times better than when you're taking them. Joey Electric, right so much ago. Okie says, he did it. Was at least 500 words talking all about your Bumpy Johnson talk. Listen, first of all, I don't know if he did it. And if he did, he has the right to do it. I wouldn't do it to him, but he has the right to do it. That's all I can say. He's entitled to his opinion. It's that simple. Pull up your shirt, show me your flesh intruding pacemaker, and I will get you your $500. If you don't, you're lying. No, you give me the $500. Back up what you have to say. If I don't do it, I humiliate myself. I remember the days of getting excited over injuries because Well, people, I've been on 2 hours and 11 minutes. I'd like to thank all of you for being here, and Danny would like to thank you too. Besides that, I had a great time. I don't like to get into the politics, I'll be honest with you, but sometimes you just get these jackasses in here, and that's it. No, he doesn't have $500. He doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. With that, people, please sub. Please like this channel. Please like it. Please sub. We're almost at 4,000. Okay? We're almost at 4,000 people. You all take care and bless you.